In the last episode of Minecraft Hardcore, I spawned into the world and began searching for a base location. Along the way, I upgraded my gear and eventually came across a desert. I spent several days exploring it, looting structures and looking for a good spot to settle. After a long search, I finally left the desert and found the perfect base location. I set up a small camp to call home and started digging a tunnel to use as a mine. I ended by breaking through to a cave. Day 11. I started the day by exploring the cave, only to realise it was tiny and I'd already explored it all. So, I dug towards a zombie I heard in the distance, only to find another disappointingly small cave. I tried my luck again and dug towards the sound of yet another zombie, where I struck my very first diamonds, a total of 8. I broke into the next cave, where I fought 2 baby zombies at the entrance before heading further in. I gathered some gold before finding a crevice that opened up, where I was greeted by some skeletons and a creeper. I lured the creeper into blowing up and took out the surviving skeleton. I continued through the caves for a while, fighting off more mobs and mining more ores, but eventually decided to head back to the tunnel and reorganize as day 11 came to an end. Day 12. I began the day by sorting out my inventory and crafting a diamond pickaxe and sword. Instead of returning to the caves, I decided to strip mine until I broke into a new one and made my way through. I cleared the path of mobs before going back to mine the ores, including 7 diamonds. I continued exploring, gathering some more iron and gold, and eventually stumbled across a zombie spawner. I looted the chest for an infinity book, some basic resources, a lore 1 book, and some name tags. I decided it was time to head back up to the surface, but before I did, I gathered enough obsidian for a portal and enchanting table. I dug my way up, mined some coal along the way, and ended up in the river right next to my base. So, I made my way over and slept through the night, bringing day 12 to an end. Day 13. I started the day by emptying my inventory, then flattening the terrain on the island in preparation for building a base. Once the area was clear, I began smelting cobblestone for stone bricks and crafted an axe to gather wood for the base. So I headed to a nearby forest and collected both oak and birch wood. After collecting enough, I returned to the island and started on the foundation, using stone bricks. Before long, I noticed a problem. The island was surrounded with drowned. Throughout the night, I was constantly fighting them off. The regular drowned weren't much of an issue, but the tridents absolutely tanked my health. In between fights, I continued working on the base, adding frames and walls, but it wasn't long before the sun started to rise, marking the end of day 13. Day 14. I began the day by heading into the forest to chop down some birch trees for the base. Once I returned, I placed down the wood as frames, but didn't have enough to complete them. I decided to finish it another day, and for now, planted some sugarcane around the base before heading down the mines to strip mine for coal. Once I had over a stack, I returned to the surface and started preparing my inventory for a caving trip. Using the diamonds I'd stored at the base, I crafted some diamond leggings and boots, and once my inventory was ready, I headed back underground. Once I was down, I took the diamonds I'd stored in the tunnels and started to strip mine in search of a new cave. Along the way, I found and mined an 8 vein of diamonds and crafted myself a diamond chestplate before continuing onwards. Shortly after, day 14 came to an end. Day 15. I started the day by breaking into a water cave and spotting a pair of diamonds. I mined them both, which brought me up to a total of 5, enough to craft a helmet, the final piece for full diamond armor. I also crafted a clock, as it's useful for telling the time when underground without opening the F3 menu. Surely this won't offend anybody. I continued strip mining and eventually broke into a small cave, where I took out a skeleton guarding more diamonds. After mining them, I lit up the cave's entrance, but decided to head back up to the surface, as I only really came down here for full diamond armor. Once I was up, I unloaded my inventory and started smelting the ores I had gathered before deciding to sleep through the rest of the night. Day 16. I began the day by harvesting some of my sugarcane and crafting a cartography table, as I wanted to go exploring. My goal was to find buried treasure and get a heart of the sea, so that I could make a conduit to better defend myself from drowned. With my map fully zoomed out, I set off on my journey. I headed back towards the desert, hoping to find some of the oceans I initially travelled through. As the sun set and night fell, I decided to keep moving rather than sleep. I took out some endermen in my travels and gathered 3 pearls total. Not bad. However, it wasn't long before the sun started to rise, and the day came to an end. Day 17. I started the day by continuing my search for a heart of the sea and found an ocean shortly after. As I was next to a mangrove swamp, I decided to gather some lily pads using my boat, as they'd be useful for when I make a food farm. Once I had over a stack, I headed into the ocean and spotted a shipwreck soon after. Unfortunately, it didn't contain a treasure map, so I continued onwards. Along the way, I noticed a desert temple near the shore and decided to explore it. I made my way in, gathered the TNT, and looted the chests, finding a Fire Aspect 1 book, horse armors, and a smithing template. I headed back to the ocean and continued looting shipwrecks, still looking for a treasure map. On my travels, I came across a trial ruin in the water, which I marked to return to another day. But for now, the sun started to rise, marking the end of day 17. Day 18. I began the day by boating across the ocean, searching far and wide for a shipwreck, but none were in sight. I searched for so long that I decided to give up and head back to base, but just as I was approaching the coast, I spotted one. I made my way over and looted it, finally finding a treasure map. I figured out which direction to head in and set out towards the treasure. I reached the spot just before nightfall and started digging. Before long, I uncovered the chest and found exactly what I'd been searching for, a heart of the sea. After looting the rest of the chest, I began the journey back to base. I came across yet another trial ruin on my way back and marked the coordinates to return another day. However, it wasn't long before the night came to an end and the sun started to rise. Day 19. I started the day by taking out an Enderman for its pearl and continued my journey, eventually making it out of the desert and back to base. I unloaded my inventory and decided to continue building, first heading over to the forest to gather some more wood. I took out another Enderman on the way, getting yet another pearl. I chopped down some trees and made my way back to base just as the sun was setting. I placed more frames around my base using birch logs, but as usual, I was being bombarded with drowned. Soon after, phantoms decided to join the fight, but as we all know, phantoms are the worst mob in the game and contributed absolutely nothing. I decided to sleep through the night to avoid any more phantoms from spawning, bringing day 19 to an end. Day 20. I began the day by adding some more frames to my house before heading over to the forest to gather birch wood. Once I had enough, I returned to base and started to experiment with different designs for the lower frame. I decided on stripped oak logs to add contrast to the birch, so I headed back to the forest, this time to gather oak wood. On my way back, night began to fall, and with it came the onslaught of drowned. At first, they weren't much of a problem, but a trident wielder managed to bring me down to less than half health, so I retreated back to base. After I healed up, I took out the trident drowned and began clearing out the others. I also removed the sugarcane surrounding my base for a clearer view. I spent some time working on the house, however it wasn't long before another group of drowned attacked. I managed to take some of them out, and the sun started to rise soon after, marking the end of day 20. Thanks to the channel members, Puntato, Renz, Jessica, No, Shui, and Aaron Chai. A special thanks to Jessica, who gifted memberships to everyone appearing on screen. And thank you for watching the video. If you enjoyed, drop a like and subscribe.